Happy Sunday. Welcome to Sunday School Simplified. If you haven't joined us before, this is where we take our Sunday school lesson and squeeze it into a short, sweet video that is good for all ages and the entire family. I can't believe that it is already the first week of Advent. If you are not familiar with what Advent is, it is just the 4 weeks leading up to Christmas Eve that we take the time to prepare our hearts and our minds for the birth of Jesus. And each week has a different theme. This week's theme is peace. And we're going to talk about it just maybe a tiny bit differently than you might expect or have in the past. So if you want to follow along in our scripture, it is John chapter 14, verse 27, and then 16, verse 33. And then also Ephesians chapter 4, verse 3 and 25 through 36. And you would think that we're starting with the birth of Jesus, right? Because that's what we're preparing for. But the scripture from John is actually Jesus talking to his disciples right before he dies, right before he is crucified. And he says, "Peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not let them be afraid. In the world you face persecution, but take courage. Take courage. I have conquered the world." And then in Ephesians, it's from the Apostle Paul, and I love this so much. He says, "Please make every effort to maintain the unity of the Spirit in the bond and peace." So try to be peaceful and cordial with your neighbors and your enemies, but be angry. Just don't sin. So anger is a human emotion, and we're human, right? It's okay to be angry sometimes, but sometimes we're angry about things that don't matter. And he says, don't turn your anger into sin. Don't act on it. But don't let the sun go down on your anger. I'm sure you've heard that before. Don't go to bed angry. And do not make room for any evil to come in. Don't let your anger grow so much that then you're allowing more bad things or bad habits or maybe people that are influencing you badly in, because you've made this big hole of anger inside of you. And that leads us to what we talked about in Sunday school today. So what do you think of when you think of peace? And I had them draw what they thought of, and a lot of it was people all over the world coming together, which is what we often think of when we think of peace. If nations are at peace, they are not fighting. But you have to go further than that. Jesus calls us to go further than that. It's not enough to just be at peace with other nations or your neighbors or your enemies. It's do good by them. Cross that treaty line and lend a helping hand if you see someone in need. If you are fighting with someone and you resolve it, go a step further and see if there's something you can do for them. So it's kind of different than what you may think of. And then we also talked about anger because, like I said, it's a human emotion and we are human. So we will get angry. And Paul tells us it's okay to be angry, just don't act on it. But what are things you can do when you're angry? We talked about telling the person. I mean, gosh, how hard is that? But it's so simple. How many times have you been angry about something and someone comes and asks you, or the person that you're upset with asks you, "What's wrong?" and you say nothing? I know everyone has to be raising their hand right now or shaking their head yes, because all of us have said nothing at least once. But what does that accomplish? It allows that anger to build inside of us and make a hole for evil to come in. So be upfront. As hard as that is, that's the challenge. I never say it's easy. That's what we're called to do. Tell them why you're angry, because it could just be a miscommunication. Hello, text messages. How many times have you been in a text message conversation with someone and your text is taken wrong and someone gets mad at you and then you react and you're mad when literally they read a text wrong. Talk about it. Try to let it go. You can meditate, turn the lights off, put a song on. We talked about the Stille Nacht, the night in World War I on Christmas Eve when the British and German soldiers literally put down their arms because the British soldiers heard the German soldiers singing Silent Night in German. And the British soldiers, I have goosebumps, started singing Silent Night, and they crawled out of the trenches and came together and celebrated Christmas together. It's not enough to just be at peace with the people we love and our enemies. It's to cross the treaty line and continue to reach out your hand, ask someone what you can do for them, or if you just see someone in need or see a need, fill it. It was a little bit long today, but I hope everyone had a wonderful, safe, healthy, and happy Thanksgiving, and I encourage you and challenge you to find your ways of peace as you go through this week and our new journey on Advent together. So we hope to see you on the next one.
Happy Advent!